Good evening, everyone. Let me just catch up with here, turn that sound off. So let me just send someone some love and some prayers because they're not well. And hopefully by the time we do that and move to Pentar's page. Excellent. There we are. We will be live for today. We might need to be doing a little bit of, let's get rid of that so that doesn't continue to bing at me. That will be helpful. Pop that on. Good evening, Joan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. There we are. Okie dokie dokie. Where have we got? Oh, have I got my water with me? No, I have not. Never mind. It's not going to be a problem. We don't actually need lots of water tonight, which is cool. Let's just pop that there. I've got a bucket load of brushes lurking over here, so that will work for me for what we need to do. Hi, Joan, will you just let me know that you can hear? It's never quite guaranteed in this world, that as we know full well, what goes on. There we are. Let's put these gloves on. Good evening, Blanche. Welcome, my darling. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Marisol. Welcome, my darling. Long time no see. I do trust that that you've had a beautiful summer in Andorra. Thank you, Joan. Now then, that's naughty. My computer has just flashed and it settled down. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It's never quite guaranteed, is it? So no headaches today, fortunately. Plenty of headaches at the weekend, but none today. So we've done a little bit of prep and we've got some organisation to allow different things to dry in between whilst we make. And I am going to recap what how to use the resin, and I've got some precast today to show you what it's like. It's been set probably a little bit longer than ideal, but it's quite difficult with the ambient temperature. The setting time given relates to I think we will not have that in there, to temperature of 25 degrees, and it's not really been that, but I am in my conservatory, so it might have been warmer than I wanted. So I'm going to decorate a bauble today. I'm going to do something that's relatively simple and straightforward, but still effective. This is a medallion bauble, and I want to use the fact that I've got beautiful shiny acrylic, but so I don't want to add bonding primer, but I do know that I want to add some paint on the inside of here. And if I just try to add the paint straight on, it will be a bit of a headache. So so I'm going to add a product that you almost never will see me using, glitter, but it will be beautiful, I can assure you. So this is Pentar's Gold Glitter Paste 5, and it's in a gel medium of type, so I can add this in. I have got one that's pre-dried because being that this is an acrylic bauble, it's difficult to heat dry it. I will put my winter fan on because that might well help things around a little bit. But we're going to have, I don't want brush marks, which is one of the reasons why I am using a dauber. And then I can spread this about because masses and masses of glitter in this, and then I can have some areas that are thicker than others, and that is wholly intentional. And as I say, this is just a layer that is going to allow me to add paint onto here, and this is the inside of the bauble deliberately. Let me just, I'll turn it over and then we can see what it looks like and whether I want to add any more. I'm deliberately not wanting full coverage of the glittery gold component, but I am needing the medium everywhere. So there we are. So that's going to look rather beautiful, I think, when it's dry. So let me just pop that on the floor and put my little fan heater on next to it so that, and hope we don't have a fire because it's not being used very well. So that can then sit there and dry for a little bit. As I say, it's difficult to add all the layers. So I'm going to talk resin. It's a resin, we're still promoting the nice new resins from that were launched by Pentacolor last week by myself. So I'm going to do this, and as I did last week, I've got gloves on so that I am fully protected, and I'm choosing to use the ivory resin so that I can don't have to and I'd stirred this earlier on, so remember you do need to stir these when you open them. And let me just pop that over there, and then I can swipe off the excess back into the pot. I don't know, I've seen videos of the ladies pouring this, but in the UK temperature wise, I think it's just a bit thick, I feel, for doing that. And these cooking measuring spoons seems to be working really well for me in terms of giving this a nice mix. So it's an 80ml duo set, and I'm going to use 15 mils from here. So you can see that it'll go a reasonable long way, even if you only buy the smaller of the two sizes. Of course, the packages come as 2 times 80ml pots, so 160ml of completed product, or 2 times 150ml, according to the need that you have for your project. Flexible plastic spatulas allow me to scrape most of that off there. I'm deliberately not wanting that in contact with my hands because that's obviously not very good for me. And I can now give this a jolly good watch. Good evening, Liz. Welcome, my darling. I trust you have recovered from the weekend away and the visit with the cat to the vet this morning. There we are. Right, let's give that a little bit. So that is my spoons that I marked B deliberately so I don't mix things up. That can go in the bin, and we'll have the set A spoons. Oh, she says, when we've lidded this. Hello, Connie. Welcome, my darling. Good evening, Paulette. Hello, Kim. Good evening, Barbara. And I think I missed, is that Iona? Yeah, Iona. So there we are. So look, and Isabel has just joined us. And I've got way too many bits on my desk. Tell me something new. Oopsie daisy. I apologise. So that's 2 bashes. So lots of giddy seasick people. Sorry. Here we are. So let's just pop that out the way. And this is why it's important to have my gloves on. And the A component is definitely a lot more liquid than the B component. Oh dear. So that's the rest of those tucked onto the floor. But that's okay. So let's just make sure that that is reasonably even and we don't have too much excess. And we can pop that into there. Scrape it out. So yeah, when you're using a resin, it's clearly a chemical reaction that is required to set the components. There is a little bit of leeway in the proportions, but generally the more accurate you are, the less the chances of there being a set issue and you wasting your product and it being very difficult, because if you don't get them right, then actually you end up with a very sticky mess. And putting your moulds into the freezer will help, but it is really difficult to get partially set sticky resin out from your and so let's just pop that into it. Good evening, Gwyneth. Thank you, my darling, for joining us. There we are. So that is the ivory resin, and of course that can be coloured with resin tints, or to give you vivid colours. The white one gives you pale colours, but I've chosen to work with the ivory because it's going to save me from having to add any paint to the skin. The skin colours are different, but I think it gives it actually a very nice natural skin colour. So there's some beautiful moulds out at the moment with ballerinas, and if you cast them in this, I think you would be left just with the dresses to colour, and they could be coloured by dusting mica or chrome powders or metallic pigments or even foils into the mould before you pour your resin. So you need to make sure that you've got your two components properly mixed, otherwise we will have an issue from there. And before I post, it just needs to be properly mixed. So, just for safety reasons, you probably ought just to stand here and let it mix it up for a good couple of minutes with a timer on. So just be aware, it's not, you shouldn't really try speeding it up. The more you whip your resin, the more you'll introduce bubbles. So I'm actually just going to pop that to the side to let the bubbles naturally come up to the surface. Yes, Gwyneth, they do a clear resin. It's called Superglass resin, and it is rather good. So I poured these about 3:30. Their Superglass resin takes ages to mould, and so these were poured about 3:30. They're safe enough for me to take out of the mould, and I'm not going to destroy any of the markings, but I can bend this now quite happily. And if you're wanting to shape it, let me just get rid of that extra piece, round a bauble, and I've preset the pieces for tonight. Then all you need to do is pop it over onto your bauble where you want it shaped and grab some masking tape. She says, there we are. Ideally, I would have probably demolded these about 45 minutes ago. So I'm just going to pop that onto there and show to you just how flexible this resin is. When I turn this over in a minute, let's just straighten the sword. It doesn't need to be bent, does it? There we are. And once it's set in place like this, you just walk away, leave it. Then over 2 or 3 days, it will become absolutely solid. So let me just add just a little bit more tape up there. You need it to be taped properly down to your piece, otherwise, so it doesn't lift up. But there we are. So my nice piece of, and I really am asking, this is a proper spherical mold, so you can see just how much movement I've got in that resin. And as I say, I would have ideally demolded that a couple of hours ago, but that's fine. Okay, so let me just take these out. So that was the overspill from here, and I think you can see here what I mean by, I think this is a nice natural skin colour. So coming back to the resin, the clear resin. The clear resin is called Superglass resin. It's ideal for dot painting, for putting over resin pours. It takes good 24-48 hours to set, so you just need to be aware of that. I don't want all of my casts to stay that clear, that to be that plain, and I know that I've got enough resin to recast up here. So this is just a metallic pigment, so we'll fill this one with that. You don't want ridiculous amounts, she says, having put a ridiculous amount in the mould, but hey ho, there we are. So we're going to have lots of gold ones because there's more gold out here than we know what to do with. And pop that into there. So the 30 mils that I've mixed, the 2 lots of 15, making 30 mils of resin, will allow me to pour at least 2 of these characters, and we've got some bells. So let me just pop some resin into there, some of this into there. Got too much there, so there we are. Pop that into there. So little additions to, and we'll see what we've got. There we are, and I've pre-set. So Alison, this resin, once it's set to take out of the mould, won't. If you take it out too soon, then yes, you can squash the features. But at about that had been in the mould for about 2.5, maybe 3 hours before, and that one won't shift at all. So hopefully a lot of my bubbles will have dispersed now, simply because I have left that standing. And I'm just going to pour this into here from a height. And again, if you do it from a height, again, it helps. Yeah. There we are. We just need to get it into there. So let me just squash that over and out, and it can go into some of the others. So that's a flat surface from there, and that's fine because we can refill. And let's pop it into here. And these, as I say, need to be left for a good couple of hours. Some of these molds are symmetrical, so you could put your pieces back to back. I'm just going to give that a little helping hand into there. Going to need a little bit more there. Don't want to waste my resin, obviously, having poured it. And I can see a bubble's picked up here. So there we are. Let's just pop that into there. And we've still got quite a lot left, so that's fine. We'll just pop some into, a little bit into that bell. We can go into there. So you can see that actually 30 mils is, which is what I've mixed. It's done 2 reasonable sized nutcrackers for me. 2 little bells. I've still got some left, so let's just fill that bowl up. Bell even. And it doesn't matter if I pop some into some of the other molds and just leave it. I don't want to waste that, because I can come back in and refill top these up, or paint them with ordinary acrylics later on anyway. There we are. So, but I don't, as I say, I don't really want to be wasteful of my resin. So let's just pop that into there. There we are. And I have a border mold here to show you just what happens. So that's a border mold, Alison. Just to, it's got a reasonable amount of detail. If I really squash that, yes, I will damage the surface, but you can see just how flexible that is. So if I want to pop that around the edge of a mold and set it in place, then I absolutely can. So I'm just going to straighten that up and pop the rest of this back into here. I've got some other pieces set. Once they're set, they are set solidly, and you won't, so over 2 to 3 days. But they, and they get progressively harder to be fair, to manipulate the longer you leave it. So optimum time for shaping is definitely somewhere around 2 hours if your temperature is 25 degrees, slightly longer than that if it's not. So I can now stick that happily on my floor, spill resin every which way. So let me sort that out, because in an ideal world you'd just have everything completely flat and you wouldn't move it. There we are, that solves that one. That needs must when you're in the middle of a live. So that can go there, that can go there, that can go there. There we are. So I've now got only cured resin, so I can dispose now of those. Let's see. Oh, God, I do like it when a plan comes together. So that has had that on it. Let's just grab a brush. So this is the glitter paste that I popped on there at the beginning of the hour. Deliberately thicker in some areas and not. But now, because I've got the gel medium on the background of here, I can just take my acrylic paint, ordinary acrylic paint. I will need to add 2 layers. But this will now stick in place. Yes, it's going to give me somewhat of a textured surface, but that's fine. I'm not mithered about that. So let's just pop that there. It will look like it's reasonably covered, but until you hold it up to the light, and then you'll see areas that are less well covered. So if I now turn that over, that's now the effect that I'm going to get. So I'm going to get the shine from my acrylic plus the glitter, and then I've got the dark surface from there, which I think gives a rather pretty effect. Excuse me just while I retrieve a baby wipe and then pop that back on the floor. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely effect, and it is so super easy, because otherwise you'd need to put bonding primer onto your plastic surface, wouldn't you, to get anything to stick. So, oh, look at me, look at, yeah, well, yeah, why not, why not, why not? So I know, because I've already done one, that I want to pop 3 of these molds into my bauble, and I know that those 3 will fit because I've already tried, and I want to paint these. So this is the white as opposed to the ivory resin. You can see there's a clear difference in these. Yeah, so from that point of view, so let's find a little paintbrush. We did have several little paintbrushes. There we are. There's another little paintbrush and another one, because we're going to have to swap some colours around, and I've pre-done one. And what I would say is you definitely need to let your paint dry really thoroughly before you try antiquing them, which is what I've done to this one, or add a varnish first. So I am just going to add some compact powder to the faces. So we're going to do these, because I'm alive without a mould would be, well, it just wouldn't happen, would it? There we are. So that we can have that on there. Just a little bit of time. There we are. And we'll have a little bit down there. There we are. We've got the tiny one to do. It's nothing like setting yourself a challenge on a live. There we are. And a hand. You could have the hand in gloves if that's what you wanted, but we're not going to. We're going to have the hand au natural, because that's what I feel like doing. There we are. So that's that one. So there's not much of a face on this one, but there is a face. There we are. So we'll just pop that into there. And you can obviously spend a lot longer doing this if you're not on a live. There we are. So that will work for that. The hair can stay white because by the time it's antiqued, it won't stay white anyway. So, and I don't need to do that one because it's already sorted. Now then, let us retrieve the colours that I have. So, and black. Okie dokie. So this one I am going to, let me have a little think. So I've got one that's predominantly red. So I'm going to have another one that is predominantly green. So this is acrylic paint matte and it is in pine. So I'm just going to add some of this to here. I can put the gold back in with wax later on. So I'm not going to be uber pernickety about this because there's masses and masses of detail in this mould. But as I say, some wax will put it back. We'll put the detail back in anyway. So there we are. I think you just have to work out what's going to work for you. I'm on a live, painting every detail is not going to work for me. There we are. That's the jacket. So this, as I say, this is unprimed resin. That if I've made a mess over there, doesn't really matter because I can come back over that. And then let's just do the jacket sleeves because that would make more sense, wouldn't it? There we are. Pop that onto there. So I know that I can pull back the detail. There's lots and lots of details in this mould. So you just need to be probably more patient. Well, sitting down would help, and actually just taking a little bit more time. But I know I can pop the detail back into this quite happily. There we are. There. So this one, I'm going to have with a green set of trousers, and he's going to be predominantly red. He's got nice long boots. So there we are. Might look a little bit peculiar at the moment. That will work for him. Okay. Let's just lid that. Good evening, Maris. Juliana, welcome, my darling. Let's just lid that before we have a problem with that. And then let's just clean our hands before we have stuff where we don't want it. So, because we're going to have navy blue hands at this rate, which is joyful. Let's get rid of that one because all it's doing is we're transferring blue from one place to another with that dirty blue one. There we are. I'm just using the Pentacolor acrylics in mattes, Marisol. There we are. So that was pine green, and this one is Bourdon, so dark rich red. So let's just have, could be a bright red, but I've decided I wanted to have the richer, darker colours. That might be a little bit of a challenge up there. There we are. But if I can manage to paint these on a live so that they look reasonable, you can imagine that if you just take yourself a little bit more time, then it would be much easier, much better from that point of view. So let's just do the breeches there. Is it going to get tucked behind anyway, or partly tucked behind? So there we are. But it is covering with one layer. It's not beading, which is the problem with, with generally with acrylics onto resins. So let's just pop that into there and see if I can get those bits done. There we are. And let's have, I wanted the green for his hat, so I'll re-get that out in a minute. There we are. Let's just have a nice red, deep red jacket for the bigger one. I'll give him a green hat in a minute. There we are. Yeah, I probably ought to be sitting down. It might be a little bit easier. There we are. Pop that into there. Catch that edge. Pop that into there. There we are. Okie dokie. It's reasonable. There we are. Let's just give, because I've given him natural hands instead of gloves, which might have been the easier thing to do. I'm just going to take the cuffs right the way down in the same colour, because I don't need to have them in a different colour. There we are. Okay. Let's have that under part of that in the red as well. So he's got an underskirt of the green, and then he's got the tops parts of his legs in the dark colour. I think that will work. And then we can re-get out that red, that green. Hi Elizabeth, you're welcome, my darling. You're welcome. And let's have a green hat. So why not? Don't want the whole project. So I'm using, quite dark, rich, opulent colours, but you could make these bright zingy. You could be using your metallic paints if that's what you wanted as well, and those would work quite well. I'm going to get some metallic out for some of the things in a minute anyway, but there we go. And as I say, I'll pop the details back into these moulds with waxes later on. Hello Catalin, welcome. So let's just clean that green off there, and let's have some black for the boots. So black acrylic paint. There we are. For him. Let's add some black acrylic for this one. Oops. I'll get rid of that little bit of compact powder. And of course, if you're making this for someone who is an expert in military wear, you can of course make sure you paint them in the colours appropriate to that person. But there we are. Okay, so that can go on there. That can go over there. Right, let's wipe that off. And we'll set ourselves a challenge. We've got some gold metallic paint here. That's the drier one. So you can add his epaulets into that gold. I'm going to need to add a, well, we'll worry about that. It's going to be tucked inside. So I would probably add a bit more green paint to there long term. And this is a horn, a musical instrument, so that should definitely be gold. So let's just pop that onto there. Right, we will regret out that green, and then we can sort out the pickle. I think that green might be almost at the end of its life. That would be, there we are. Get rid of that, okay. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. There is no question about it. It's a challenge. But then again, if I was not doing this live, I would let each colour that I'm putting on dry properly, fully, before I tackle the next colour. Yeah. We can have that in there. Do I want, we might just as well have the sword or whatever it might be in there. Could do it in grey to resemble steel, but we'll go for the easy approach to life tonight. There we are. Okay. Right, for that. So let me just give that a little bit of a blast with a heat gun. It's just going to make my life a bit easier, and they need to be blasted anyway before I do the next bit. Let's put the lid onto that. Hi Natasha. It's going to make my life a bit altogether just that little bit easier if I have this a bit drier than it currently is going to be. Not be fully dried, but there we are. And you can tidy up as we want to. Right, I think that will now allow me to pick this up, and I can then get the gold onto the epaulets. There we are. I will neaten that up, partly because I'm a fanatic. Well, I'm not a perfectionist, but I definitely don't like things looking messy. There we are. Okay. Now I'm off camera. There we are. Let's just move that over there. Okay. So let's just, don't think I'm going to want that one, but we do definitely need a little touch of red. Oh, because I can see that I've got a big chunk of that I've managed to miss. There we are. Okay, that will work, that will work, that will work. We're not going to be finicky, because it's not worth it. There we are. Oh, excuse me, runny nose this evening. That's not very nice, is it? Right, let's get these dry. Can I see an area where I've got gold where I definitely don't want it? Yeah, I can. So there we are. Let's just lift that up into there. She says, having said she's not going to be pernickety, being flipping pernickety. There we are. The key to this is just taking your time. Right, let's get that dry. It needs to be dry in the crevices because I need to varnish them. And if I don't have it dry in the depths, then when I have the varnish, it will make a mess because it will lose the colour. Right, as I say, not on the live, just take your time and add another layer. Do it in stages, let each one dry in between. Walk away from it, have a cup of tea. None of these mediums take very long to dry. So this is Pentacolor's Decor Soft Varnish in Matte, but you could use any of the varnishes in the ranges that you want, and it's just going to come into here and seal some of this colour in, and will make my life easy for adding some distressing on. You don't want to add big quantities because it's clearly going to fill in some of the nooks and the crannies. But just add a reasonable layer. I do need to get it onto the face. Just want to make sure I'm not going to be transferring. Oh, that's okay. Lots of colour onto there. So there we are. And just a little bit of that into there. That can sit there. That will go clear as it dries. So let's keep away from the depths of that for the moment and just give this all a nice coat of varnish. In an ideal world, you might want to choose to add 2 to make sure you hit all areas, but it definitely is worth doing. It helps protect them. I've got a little bit of black into there. That's going to age the gold bit, but it's going to give a dirty face. So let me just give that a good clean. And we'll do the face with a cleaned brush and then go back to that area. And I could have painted the hair black, I guess. That would work as well, but it's very difficult then, I think, to paint the moustache in and the eyebrows, and of course they need to be the same colour, don't they? So there we are. So we definitely had some wet red paints there, but there we are. So that's not going to matter. So let's pop that over there, pop that there, pop that there. Those can be given that. That can go over there. Let's stick that in there. And let's just have a little bit of a clear down. So as I say, I pre-painted one of my bauble halves. And I want to add some splatters into here. And I am going to do that with a little bit of pigment fix and metallic pigment. So with the metallic pigment, you just need to make sure that you have your pigment fix. There we are. And I always dispense it with a pipette. It's just far easier. I'll be way more than I need, but hey ho. And that can then be reused because it's a water soluble product. Let me just wipe that out of there. It dries clear, but I don't really want a milky splodge there. And now I can add in a little bit of metallic pigment to create some splatters. There we are. So see, I really didn't need very much in there, and I'm only going to be using this to create some splatters, so I don't need lots and lots of it. Let's see how successful we can manage to make the splatters tonight. Let's find a brush that we're not overly concerned about. So there we are. Let's just pop those into there. So that gives me my starry sky. I hope those big splatters will get covered by the bigger of the molds. So let's just pop that down over there. That needs to dry. The joys of lives. So that's, ooh, she says. We have bits already pre-dried and pre-made. So yeah, let's get this properly dry. Because it will definitely make my life easier. And we need to let those splatters dry. They won't take very long, and they're sitting in front of the heater, but not something I've got direct heat to, because as you say, it's an acrylic bauble I'm using, so I don't really want to have to melt it or warp it, which is what I will do if I'm not very careful. So at this point we just need to be quiet. So has anyone got any questions they would like to ask whilst preferably about Pentacolor products, needless to say, whilst I get these pieces dry and then cool down before I antique them, and then add some wax paste over the top. Chili con carne, white and chips. It's yummy, yummy, yummy. Followed by lemon meringue and ice cream. Sounds rather good, Sarah. Is your normal restaurant cafe back working? Good evening, Maria. Thank you for joining us, my darling. It's much appreciated. So let's just give these. So these are Samperia mould. The new Samperia products are available via Pentac are on the Pentacolor website for those people who can order directly from them. Just need that to dry. You can see where that's not properly dry up in that corner. So let's just be a little bit patient. It's skimmed over up at the top rather than drying from the bottom, and that's the risk whenever you use a heat gun to dry something, is that it will skin over. Gwyneth, that, my darling, is something I regularly do, is watch live while soaking in a bath. It's a very good place to watch a live from, my darling. I have no problems with that one whatsoever. They need to cool down. So I have my let's go for see, this is my brush, my set of cream crackered brushes, all sitting in pots of white spirit, but not very much white spirit. So let's just get rid of some of that onto there. Let's just pop some of this onto here and hope that with the because I have taken the time to actually see See, that's nice and hot. So my wax is moving very nicely on there. There we are. I'll pop that into there. Hot brush. And you think you've painted all that in, and then you've splodged yucky brown stuff all over it. Just need to get some brown into there. There we are. Get it into all of the nooks and the crannies. Really doesn't take very much. Into there. That can go there. Let's pop these things back because we have outer scambra, masses and masses and masses of bits in front of us. There we are. So let's just then wipe that back. I think I might have had some gold on that brush. There we are. Let's just take some of that off the face. So the hair is no longer bright white, which is cool. There we are. Easier on a bigger piece, isn't it? There we are. And back with our features nicely in place. There we are. And because I've waxed this, I can push quite hard on it to lift off the extra. There we are. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to let those cool down because, right, okay. So he is a piece I've shaped. I set him on here to dry, and I want that upright. Now, for the purposes of the live, I am going to use a quicker grab glue. But generally, I would use, as you all know, my beloved gel medium. But for the purpose, this is going to work, I think, a bit better and a bit faster for me. And I don't really want to grab any hot glue. So he can sit onto there, and I just need to let him wait. Okay. This is the joy of this, because it's got a pinhole. It's a solvent-based glue. There we are. Put that onto there. So now and just push that into place. Hold it there. That can have a little bit of time to grab. And we will. There we are. Karen, yes, a very good thought process. So this is just some gold wax that I'm going to pop over here. You can see now all the detail has come back up into those pieces. So there we are. Obviously, I'm not going to put it straight onto the face because that's not where we'd want it to be. Let's see. So that glue really does grab really quite quickly, and that's the whole purpose. Now at this stage I am going to revert to my heavy body glue gel because I'm going to pop these into here. Yeah, we might have to come back to those. One there, and one here. Okay, so of course, is it wonky? Is it wobbling? Of course it's going to wobble. Why wouldn't it? There we are. Right. Eeny, meeny, miny. Where's my little... There we are. Let's just pop a blob of that onto there. So he will sit there. But we want him to be hang straight. he can sit there. And he will go on top. So I've got the big mould, big subject in the middle, supporting the two smaller ones. That makes sense. Now then, at this stage we have options, and I'm going to take the easy one for tonight because I can, but I'm going to explain options because I need to let this now dry in place before, and that's going to take a little bit of time. But so this is the top, and it will eventually, once everything is dry, sit on here like that. Yeah. So we can leave it just like that. Excuse the reflection. I don't move it, I don't think. Or let's pop it over there. Pop that over there. I have pre-shaped these, so I can use my glue to put a frame onto here. Why not? But as I say, then I can't lift it up to move it. So you would just need to be aware of that. So I've got two of those, one of these, one of these. Why not? Why not use? Because it grabs very quickly, and I sort of know where this is going. You can see just how curved this is. As I say, I'm using this as a glue just because I know it grabs really quite quickly. So that's going to sit up there. Pop that onto there. Let's just pop this one down at the bottom. This comes out of a mould and is straight. Literally is a straight piece. There we are. Let's just hold that in place. Let that grab so it doesn't go sliding. Come on, behave. You're meant to grab quickly. Might not have put enough on it. So then, there we are. Just hold it in place. Let that grab. Okay. So I've created myself a nice big frame. Let's just get that. So this is the when you need 65 pairs of hands, and of course you don't have 65 pairs of hands. Yep. Is it reasonably symmetrical? There we are. There we are. Okay. So I've now got that framed in place. This, darling, is B7000. It's a jewellery maker's glue, but it is a solvent-based glue. And you could just as easily use a gel medium. It's just a lot quicker for doing something like this. And you do have a bit of wriggle. So then that can then go on there. Yeah. Quite happily. And when it's finished. At the moment, don't, it's sliding just a little bit. Just a little bit. There we are. Come on. There we are. Right. I've got an empty space at the bottom of here, and I don't like it. I didn't like it. Okay. So I am just going to stick in to here a little bit of gel medium. Just along the bottom, because feet shouldn't be floating in thin air, should they really? There we are. There we are. And I'm just going to whistle it into here. Just a little bit of moss. And I'm going to have to let all of that dry before I add put the top onto here, because if I don't let it all dry, then what will happen is the condensation caused will fog the glass. Okay. So, and I could put some snow on them. I think I'm actually just going to leave it really simple. Okay, so I've got grounded things. So I have my, let's see, my mold there. Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. I need to leave these neatly there. Just let them settle down. Let them dry. When it's dry, I'm going to pop that over there. And I have let me just pop that on. Pre-done some of these, and they will literally, that's a flat one. So these I can then put round and glue in place around here. So I've got 3 of them. Okay, but before I do that, that needs to dry. So I hope that we've shown tonight that we can cast our resin safely with sensible precautions, because it is a chemical, that when it comes out of the mold at approximately 2 to 3 hours, it's reasonably robust, and you can shape it and tape it down onto a surface. Where did I put the one I taped? Well, you never know. Where did I pop it? There we are. So this is the one that I taped earlier. I'm just going to make sure it is properly pushed down. So that's a piece of set resin. You can see that I can really push that quite hard, and I'm not altering those pieces. Yeah. So that is a flat cast piece of resin that I've now popped onto a very domed mold. And once those are left in place, they will set solidly. You can paint them without having to prime. There we are. Let's just move that into there. That needs to dry. That needs to dry. Okie dokie. The mold that I painted with the gold pigment, or dusted with the powder, will look like this when it comes out, and that is a solid, stable surface. So what I will do is tomorrow I will tidy up the mess that is my desk, because I've got stuff everywhere, because that's what happens when I do a live. I will put the pieces together and then photograph it. I will photograph them in stages, because it's the bane of my life trying to photograph shiny pieces. But I think it shows just how flexible that resin can be. You see, don't move your pieces. Just wait for it to properly grab. There we are. There we are. And pop it all together. But it will make your life much easier. And I think working on the acrylic is probably bauble is probably the hardest thing that you'll ever do. So maybe when you start using them, work out on a slightly less curved surface. But then my job is to show you what can be achieved with appropriate time. So I've got my very decadent Nutcrackers tucked inside their bauble with a splattered night sky, and then that beautiful, there we are, the inside effect from the glitter paste, and then the dark blue. So I haven't had to use any primer on any of this, and they are that's almost unheard of. Whenever I start a project, I will grab the primers. So thank you very much, ladies, for joining me. I don't think Anthony's here, so I think it's happy to say that it is only ladies today, which is cool. Let me just unplug all of that lot so it doesn't get forgotten about and I don't burn my hands on a hot glue gun. I will photograph these and I will see you next week with an entirely different use for the new resin, which I think for those of you that like the very thin cake molds might find very interesting. So take care and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.